That's right. That's right. That's right. We had to bring it back to 1980. We had to drop some of that loose joints, talking about is it all over my face? You know what that means. Then if you see me today, that means it's Throwback Thursday. Hope you're having an amazing Thursday. Hope you're staying safe. Hope you're staying well, but hope you're staying woke. But today's topic, most people have heard this topic before. Most people truly understand the meaning of it. But a lot of times, I'm going to give you a few options that I think could be very, very instrumental in how you look at it again. Never know. You never know. But today's topic is birds of a feather flock together. And most of us have heard that. You've heard it from your grandparents, your great grandparents. You probably heard it from your parents. You probably hear it from people currently who are still talking about your circle of influence. And that's what I want to talk today to you about. I want to talk about three quick things. I want to talk about your circle of influence. I want to talk about your lifelong friends, and I want to talk about your family and your foundation. And so, first and foremost, instead of us starting from the beginning of time, which was your born day, let's start from your current situation. And most people do have some individuals who they hang around, and people are very proud of the people who have been in their life. But when you look at your circle of influence, that's a little different than having 7,000 contacts in your phone, 10,000 followers on Facebook, 100,000 followers on Instagram, 10,000 followers on Twitter, 5,000 uh, influential individuals on LinkedIn. It's talking about the people who you trust the most, the people who you go to in a time of crisis, the people that you know that no matter what the situation is, you can go to them and they're going to be honest with you. Who is your starting five? If you were to take your circle of influence and you were to pick out your starting five, who would be your point guard? Who would be your shooting guard? Who would be your power forward? Who would be your small forward? And who would be your center on your team? Now, I know that's a sports analogy, but we're talking about five of your most influential people in your life who you are surrounded by. And then you look at how they influence you. Uh, do they make your life better? Do each of you, excuse me, call each other up just to see how they're doing? How many times have you called your closest circle of influence during this pandemic to check on them? How many times have they checked on you? How many times have they asked, is there anything that you need? How many times have you asked them, is there anything I can do for you? How's the family? How are the children? How are your parents? How many times? You look at those five people in your circle of influence and you ask, what are the positive things they bring to our relationship? And what are the negative things they can bring to our relationship? There's a saying that says everybody who's with you is not qualified to go all the way with you. So when we talk about our circle of influence, I want you to really take a peek at your most influential five people in your life and see how they are benefiting how your life moves forward and how your life will be advanced through their connection to you. Now, the second thing is your lifelong friends. They say most of the friends that you make in college you keep for a lifetime. But if you truly have some friends who you associate with, there's people in middle school and high school that you probably have associated with and still are very, very good friends. Again, this is all about what I talked about last week, and that's purging. For me, every 6 months, I go through my phone, and those people who I haven't spoken to in those 6 months or in a year, depending on the circumstances, I eliminate them out my phone. And it's not because I think that I'm trying to save space. It's just the mere fact that um, you have to understand that they may not be in your best interests. Thank you, cuz. Kev was had, and thank you for listening. So you have to get rid of those people. You have to look at your phone and you have to free up space for those people who are going to be influential in your life. Now you can have friends who you grew up with, but you got to look at what their life is. You got to look at, do they support you in your life journey? Are they a hindrance, or are they something that can catapult you to the next level. You have to look at those particular lifelong friends and see that you don't have to answer their call every time, because you know what it's actually going to be about when you pick up the phone. There are those people who are stuck in middle school who are your friends. There are those people who are stuck in high school who are your friends. And they may tell you, or they may try to derail your mission or your train, because they want you to go back to that era with them, because they haven't learned how to grow and move on and understand that every day, every day, you withdraw a day out of the deposit of your time on this particular planet. So you have to understand it. You have to understand that you will withdraw every day, one day, if you use it or not, in a positive fashion or a negative fashion, you will withdraw one day towards your life. So your lifelong friends also, you have to understand, where are they in their life and how are they able to benefit your life? Let's talk about the last thing: family and your foundation. There's a saying I say: it's not where you plant someone, it's what you plant in them. I'm going to say that again. It's not where you plant someone, it's what you plant in them. A lot of times we see people who we encounter and they tell us, well, my life would have been better if I had, both parents, or if my father and my mother didn't argue so much, or if I was born in the hood. There's a thing that gives you an opportunity not to make those excuses. It's called choices. And if you make a choice to not let your environment be what dictates your outcomes, then and only then can you say that your family and your foundation is what developed you. Now, there's something that you can't change. You can never pick who your parents are going to be, and you can never pick your family. But you can pick how you associate with your family. And you never want to be in a situation where you choose to be engaged with your parents. But again, you're not your parents' choices, and um, you can't bow down and feel guilty about the choices your parents make, because then you have choices also to change the outcomes of your life. They say that when we talk about failure, they say failure is not how many times you failed. It's about how many times you try to succeed, right? A person who sits back and criticizes others for failure is just a person who's afraid to get up and dream, right? Because a person who says, every time I do something, I fail. It's not that you're failing, it's because you're afraid to succeed, because you've never tasted it. Once you taste success, you'll never want to go back to failure. And so that's what we're talking about here today. Birds of a feather flock together. I mean, if you ever take a loaf of bread somewhere and throw it down, you're going to attract 500 pigeons in like 30 seconds. They come from all different places, and you don't even understand where these pigeons are coming from. But the one thing I can tell you about a pigeon is pigeons are always keeping their head down. They always have their head down. They're never looking forward. They're looking at the opportunity currently. And if you're going to act like a pigeon, then you're going to get exactly what pigeons get. They get the crumbs. So they get the crumbs. But there's a story I want to share with you all. I want to share with the story before I leave and end today. Uh, some of you might have heard this story, but there was an old, well-known story of a chicken farmer who says he found an eagle's egg. And so he put the egg with the chickens in the chicken coop, and the egg hatched. The young eagle grew up to be with all the other chickens, and whatever they did, the eagle did. So he thought he was a chicken, just like the chickens, because that's where he was born. Since chickens can only fly so far, the eagle never really learned how to fly and soar like he was supposed to be. So what he did is he emulated the chickens. He flew very short distances, and he emulated and he copied everything that the chickens did. Uh, he thought that he was supposed to be that particular chicken. So one day, the eagle was sitting out in the chicken coop with the other chickens, and he saw an eagle flying above him. And he was very impressed with that. He asked the other chickens, "Who is that?" And the chickens and the hen said to him, "That's the eagle. That's the king of the birds." The hens told him, "He belongs to the sky. We belong to the earth. We are just chickens." So what I say, what's the moral of what I just said? I want to encourage you all today to be an eagle, right? You may have been brought up in situations where, you may think that you're confined to the chicken coop. But if you realize what your dreams are and you realize what your potential is, you will realize that you too can be an eagle. The one thing that I want to leave with you today is please don't die thinking you're a chicken. Soar high just as you were meant to be, because I want you to be all that you can be. I want you to be the greatest eagle that you were supposed to be. And so that's my Throwback Thursdays for today. That's my story about birds of a feather flock together. It's who you associate with. It's who is your circle of influence. It's who that you choose to take directions from. It's who that you choose to get instructions from. It's who you choose to plant in you what you believe that you're supposed to be. Choices will give you the opportunity to be a pigeon. Choices will give you an opportunity to be a crow. Choices will give you an opportunity to be a sparrow. Choices will give you an opportunity to be an eagle. You make the choice. I want to say thank you. I want you all, before I go, I want you all to realize that it's less than 30 days now, and you'll be going to the polls. Hope you registered to vote, to make a decision on what's going to happen going forward. I hope that if you are registered, I hope that if there are people, check around your neighborhood, check around your family, check around your circle of influence, check around the other birds that you're around. Find out who's going to need a ride to the polls. Make sure they get a ride to the polls and get a ride home, and make that part of your mission. Galvanize your circle of influence to get people to the polls. Make sure they vote. Whatever your party affiliation is, that's not my concern. It's that you get there and exercise your voice. You have a voice, utilize it. Utilize it for change. Utilize it for the fact that you made a choice. And I want you to definitely stay conscious, stay aware, but stay woke. Stay woke, people. This is your man, Rory T. Edwards. Throwback Thursdays. Thank you for joining. Remember, birds of a feather flock together, and you cannot withdraw what you did not deposit. All right, you all be well. Get to the polls. Check your phone purge. Check what I said. It's not where you were planted, it's what was planted in you. Be well. See you soon.